Hi there, I'm Tiffani Helberg. I'm a proud member of ChamberSOUTH, and we are so grateful that you tuned in to this edition of ChamberSOUTH Spotlight. Today, we have two very special gentlemen with us here today, Carlos Fernandez Guzman and Pablo Estepe from Pacific National Bank. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us about Pacific National. How and why are you different?
Well, Pacific is an interesting institution. So first of all, we're not confused. Pacific is the original name of the bank from when it was an Ecuadorian operation. We know we're on the East Coast. We could have been called, we should have been called Atlantic National Bank, but that's okay. But the reason we're different is we take the relationship banking side of the equation really, really seriously, right? So we're very much about the people and people contact and serving customers in a way that makes us more of a partner and stakeholder than just someone that's providing a service. And that is the value of Pacific as a community bank, that we take the role of bankers seriously when it comes to consultatively guiding folks to their financial goals and helping them get there. And it's both for the business side and for the personal side. It's not uncommon for us to know our customers' generations, from parents to grandparents to children to the offsprings of children, to bank all those generations, which is, by the way, probably one of the greatest experiences you'll have in banking is the fact that you get to see family grow, right? And you get to see the whole progression. We're all about the people. We're all about the contact. We use technology to augment that, to facilitate choices for the customer. But we never want a customer to rely on technology to interact with us. Mm-hmm. Technology is a facilitator, and we want the technology to be there. We want to feel it. We want to touch it. We want to be able to be involved. So Pablo runs our retail branch network. So he's responsible for all the touch points. Pablo?
Yeah, we're definitely in the front lines, interacting with all the clients and all the relationships. Like Carlos mentioned, we're in communities, we're part of the community, we're in places that we live, work, worship. So at the end of the day, we know we have our fingers on the pulse of the community. And so we're very involved. Yes, like Carlos mentioned, technology is available, but I think our clients give us the opportunity to be their bank, not because of technology alone, just because of the relationship that we have with them. We help them grow. We help their businesses flourish. When my kids were younger and I used to take them to school, I would take pride in driving by a building, a warehouse, and say, "Hey, Daddy helped that client." I was the one that helped them get into that. They're working out of their garage, and now they're working in this beautiful warehouse. Those are the things that I think, as a community bank, give us that sense of pride. And I think that we serve a purpose in doing that and helping the community out.
How many locations do you guys have?
We currently have 6, and then we're also expanding in the New York market. But we're very specific to where we want to have our branches. Our goal is not to be in every corner, but to be in the communities, again, that we serve, that we see that there's an opportunity for us to come in and really make an impact.
And to that point, so we have physical locations, are 6. Those are the branches, but we have relationship banking units that do house calls, if you will. Mm-hmm. These are folks that service a client at home. They actually are doing it. Yeah, we don't. We understand the dynamics of the retail banking are neighborhood driven, but we also recognize that folks want some level of privacy and sometimes want to speak to a banker in their home, not necessarily a branch location. And we have very successful units that only do that. They open the accounts at home. They take care of business at home. They are truly almost private banking professionals on the road, and they do very well. Those units are extremely a big part of our business model here and in New York as well. In New York, our office isn't even on the ground floor; it's on the 17th floor.
Right. Oh wow, that's so interesting.
Carnegie Towers. So it goes back to, so our line is banking not as usual, right? That's our subtag.
Sure.
And we mean it. We're just not as usual. When a client says to us, "Hey, I need to open a few accounts. I want to see you guys," we get in the car, we drive to the place where they're at, and we open the accounts at the place they're at.
Wow.
Doesn't happen these days much, but that's the way banking used to be.
And that's the reaction that they have.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've never heard of that. They probably think you're joking when you
No.
say it.
Uh,
Oh, that's cool. And so you were telling me that you're deeply rooted in the community. You want to tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you guys are involved in?
Wow, we can pick a lot. So we will support most of the causes associated with children, elderly, and then other causes that are related to business augmentation and business development, right? So chambers of commerce for us are a tremendous place to really participate and help that business community grow and prosper in the way it should, through consultative advisory on how they can grow their business, what is available to them, how they can perhaps do the things that other banks won't do, which structure things according to what the business needs, not to what the bank wants to offer. Mm-hmm. And we're very good at doing that. So the chambers are a great place for us and at a civic level. On the human cause, we support autism, we support homelessness, we support elderly care, we support education. We think that every single one of those areas are areas that add value to those that reside in the communities we serve, are needs that need to be supported in the communities we serve. And we take it very seriously. We don't just write a check. Most of the time, we will ask our teams to become involved in leadership. So for us, it's not just important to do the treasure element. Mm-hmm. It's important to participate at a level of leadership, either in a committee or in chairing the board or in an advisory role. Why? Because that's where you really can help. That's where you can provide not just the support, monetary support that stacks against the right needs, but you can also understand the needs better. We have probably supported most of the major causes in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties for we've been in business since 85.
Okay.
So for well over 40, 30 years. And we've done so quietly. We're not big about bragging. You won't hear us. We won't have a wall full of the things we do, but we do a lot of things. Probably a wall wouldn't be able to accommodate it.
Yeah.
When you look back, is there a certain cause or a certain case that really stands out and in your mind and you feel emotionally invested in?
So I'll use homelessness as a proxy for something that has been a real meaningful contribution for Pacific. In 1995, when we were looking at homelessness for the first time seriously, we saw a community that had 8,000 people sleeping on the streets, and growing. So it was 8,000 people on the street, quickly ramping up to 9,000 and 10,000 people sleeping on the streets. We were fortunate at that time to have an iconic community leader in Alva Chapman, who took the lead in helping us put together a group that created Chapman Partnership. In those days, it used to be Community Partnership for the Homeless. And we implemented, and we're part of implementing a tax associated with food and beverage that enabled us to fund all of the things and support elements that we could provide that homeless community on an ongoing basis. We're the only community in the country that has that. No one else has been able to replicate it. Today, and as far back as I can remember, the number of people sleeping on the streets of Miami is under 1,000.
Incredible.
That's unusual.
Not only unusual, it's almost miraculous.
Mm-hmm.
For a community like Miami, which has all the, unfortunately, weather elements that would facilitate street life, right?
Yeah, sure.
We have been able to, because of a recurring revenue stream, because we identified a public-private partnership between the Homeless Trust, which was created by the tax, and Chapman Partnership, we've been able to handle homelessness in a way that no other community in this country has been able to. And Pacific has been there from day one. I happened to be blessed to have chaired Chapman Partnership for a while. I'm still very involved. I've been involved in it for over 23 years. Those are paradigm shifting things. Those are things that have changed Miami into a community that no other community can emulate. By the way, we've hosted 120 cities We've hosted over 80 countries, showing them the model, and they've still not been able to replicate it because they will not implement the recurring tax. So these are the things that are rewarding, right? And by the way, when you think about it, we don't benefit from a homeless population that reintegrates. It's not you don't say to yourself, well, this is going to be a great banking opportunity. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with doing the right thing for people in the community who are in need and making the community a better place overall. That's a good example. Our participation over the years in United Way, our participation with autism, we take those things very serious. Branches, which is a phenomenal cause for children and education, founded by Trish and Dan Bell, who are dear friends. These causes make us stakeholders in the right missions and the right visions. We don't just sign up for the headlights or the headlines or the bright lights. We sign up for impact, and we've made impact. We're very proud as a bank to be able to say that every cause we've ever engaged in has had what I would consider to be value added to this community in meaningful ways, substantive ways. You can go on and on and on and on, but
can you tell he's passionate about this?
I can, and that's important, and that's impressive.
And it's contagious because we all follow that lead. We see his passion, and we want to emulate it, and we feel passionate about different causes. I'm very passionate about the elderly and children. So anytime I can participate in any way in helping out, that's definitely where I want to focus my time on. You mentioned some very rewarding times, and I was part of an organization, a philanthropy group in Baptist health system, and we selected. It was 5 adolescents that needed medically. They needed bariatric surgery because their lifespan was not going to be very long if they continued the way that they were. And I remember, the surgeries took place. We raised the funds, and we were at the kind of like the celebration dinner. And the parents just lined up all to come say hi to me. And I was like, okay, let me introduce myself. And they were all just thanking me. They're like, what you did for them, now the life that they're going to live is because of what you guys did. And I'm like, yeah, please don't think it was just me. There was a team that put this together. To me, that's still a day that, gives me goosebumps to this day. So,
and to Pablo's point, Miami's blessed to have very, very, very committed institutions. The private sector is a private sector that is engaged, that cares. Baptist, couldn't think of a better example. The Pacific banks, Pacific National Banks of the world, Jackson, and the efforts of Carlos Migoya, an ex-banker at Jackson, and a dear friend, colleague of mine I don't want to date ourselves, but in the 70s. But all of these institutions that call Miami home from a commercial perspective really care. They're not just here for the profit. Yeah. They're here to use those profits to invest in the community. That's unique. And it's unique that we have that many of them that follow that model. I think this community has an unbelievably resilient nonprofit sector. It's just, and that nonprofit sector's resiliency is because of the private sector support is unrelenting. We don't say no often, right? And we always say yes for the right reasons. So it's a sense of pride that all of us in the private sector have. Pacific has a very strong sense of pride in being able to fully grasp the fact that every dollar and every minute we invest is adding value to Miami. And Miami is the girl we fell in love with long ago, right? We love this place. It's the place where we raise our kids, we raise our grandchildren.
It's home.
It's home.
It was home.
Are you guys from Miami?
Yeah.
Raised. Yeah.
I came to Miami in 1966. I'm originally from Cuba, but I've lived here, I got 50 years, 60 years. So
it's home.
Yeah.
Definitely home.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. When you look at banking as a whole, and what's trending. How are things changing in banking, and how are you influenced? Because you're quite unique as a community bank.
Yeah. So I think banking, unfortunately, is if you look at it as a whole, right? If you look at banking as an entire ball of wax, it's trending more and more toward depending on technology to be the solution for the client. So it's not uncommon that your interaction with banks is limited, basically, to technology, right? That's unfortunate. You hear a lot about AI and how AI is going to change banking in the future. And again, that's even taking the technology a step further, where now you're taking not just the speed or elimination of friction in your interaction with a bank to a level of consultancy and advisory through something that's not a human, right, element. We think that's a mistake. We think that technology should augment what you do, should facilitate what you do. So a customer should always have the option to do something as quickly and as frictionless as possible through technology. But primary has to be the option to pick up the phone and call and speak to Pablo or to Carlos. Or, I often tell clients, tell me the last time you were able to pick up the phone and speak to the president of your bank. The answer is never.
Yeah.
Right? At Pacific, everyone has my cell number. Every customer has access to my line. And I don't have anybody answering my lines, right? Why? Because I believe strongly in the fact that we are there to provide human advisory, human contact, to listen, to understand the need, to stack solutions against those needs that are going to work for you. It's not uncommon for us to sit with a customer, and Pablo knows this from experience, who comes in and says, you know what, I want to structure a commercial deal this way. And when we look at it, we say, your type of business is going to have a tough time if you structure it this way. There's going to be covenants and things that are going to hamper you. Why don't we twist it a bit? Why don't we change it to this? It'll serve your type of business better. And in the long haul, you won't be hemmed in and handcuffed by covenants that shouldn't apply to your business. Big banks don't do that. It's a box.
Then you have customers for life.
Yeah,
like
and we
said.
do. And it's funny you say that. So I'll share this with you. So I have lenders that have worked with me since the 70s. I have customers of those lenders that have worked with those lenders since the 70s that are still banking with us, and generationally. So these are customers that we banked them, we banked their kids, and now we're banking their grandkids who are running the business. And it's fascinating because you would think the generations would say, no, I don't need this kind of bank, right? They love it.
Of course.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's those, when you wake up in the morning, where you put your head on a pillow at night, knowing that you're making a difference, that's a big high. That's a big high.
Yeah.
So I think our communities need the community bank. I think the days of you just having one account with one bank are kind of like disappearing. I think people see the value in having diversity in how they do their banking. If you notice, in times of need, whenever we go through a hurricane or we go through a pandemic or anything like that, community banks always shine during those times because we have that relationship. We have that connection with our clients. I think, I don't mind the competition, but I think we need more community banks. I think it's necessary for to be able to serve all of our clients. And it's funny because technology has always been a discussion. Since I've been in banking, which is a long time, we're going to go paperless. We're never going to go paperless. But what happens is our clients want technology. They want the convenience. But when you say, is this going to replace people? They're like, no, we don't want it to replace people. I still want to be able to call you if I need something, or if I just want to bounce an idea off of you, I want you to be there. And we've done actual surveys, and they don't want bankers to disappear, be replaced by an ATM machine. They want us there, and I think that's important.
And Pablo made a very interesting observation. So times of need, right? So you think about the pandemic, and we use the pandemic as a perfect proxy. Prior to the pandemic, there was a thought that really we didn't need small banks. We even the regulatory bodies would say, we really don't need banks under $500 million. They don't really serve a purpose. They're small. It's hard to regulate them. It's hard to supervise them. And along came the pandemic, and a program called PPP had to be rolled out to help the business community. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for the community banks, PPP would have been a failure. The big banks could not handle it. We were the ones that stepped up to the plate and served those customers well by essentially doing what no other big bank could do. And the regulatory environment changed completely. Now you had regulators saying, "Wait a minute, you guys saved us. If it wasn't for the small bank, the PPP would have failed, and we would have had a major economic catastrophe." And that's a fact. And again, it goes back to, we understand what needs to happen for those businesses to succeed, and we deliver accordingly. We don't do things in boxes. We don't do things in hard and fast black and white rules. We're able to navigate waters differently. When PPP came around, I will never forget sitting in my office and getting calls from our clients. Many of our clients are realtors, real estate developers, and operate regional retail or office space, or who had clients, who had tenants who couldn't get any assistance from their banks. And we said, you know what? It's okay. They're not our customers. We'll take care of them. And why did we take care of them? Because our borrower needed those clients of theirs to survive. Yeah. And we wanted to help. None of those people were our customers. Not a one. But we helped every single one of them. And our teams were there till 10 and 11 o'clock at night processing applications on Saturdays and Sundays. At time of needs is when we shine the most. Because again, we look at our business from the perspective of, we are partners. We're stakeholders. We're not just a commodity service provider.
Sure. And you're small enough and you're nimble enough that you can make changes quickly.
Absolutely.
And accordingly.
You hit the nail right on the head. We are able to, so if you like water and you like boats and you like all that stuff, an aircraft carrier takes a long time to change course. We're PT boats.
Yeah.
we turn on the engine and we can navigate and turn and change direction instantaneously. And we can do so proactively or reactively, which is really interesting. Most of the big banks will do it based on their terms. So they'll do it proactively for their good. We will do it proactively for both, for what the community needs and what we need. So we're proactive and reactive. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Carlos and Pablo, I have really enjoyed talking with you both. I'm sure that I'll be in touch with Pacific National. I'm sure that many of our viewers will be in touch with Pacific National, because who doesn't want them to come into your home and help you with all your banking needs?
We are there to do just that. So please take advantage of what we do best.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for watching this edition of ChamberSOUTH Spotlight, and we hope to see you again soon.